just to show you this real quick, it's stuck in the cup. Stuck in the cup. It's the leftover wet stuck in the cup, just like I'm trying to tell you. If your clear isn't doing this, you need to be using this. This is the wetwet.com. Try it. Try it. Try it. Try it. All I ask you to do is try it. I'ma tell you, you're gonna like it. Guess what? You're gonna tell me you love it. Candy.com. We in the dungeon. You've been waiting on it. Here it is. I'm gonna show you how to spray the wet. We're gonna do a wet demonstration on my man's Monte Carlo. We just shot the Gator Rally Stripes, and so I figured why not put the wet on there. You'll see how to shoot it. I've been telling you to go on and cut it, like I say, with 600 after you do your candy, after you do your car, after you paint. If you're gonna re-clear, we'll just say this, if you're gonna re-clear, you cut 600 wet sand. That'll cut that orange peel real fast, real quick. Just know not to stay on it, basically. You're gonna have 3 coats of clear, because I always suggest putting 3 wet coats of clear, and cut it with 600. When you do that, you won't have an issue. You cut the orange peel real fast, you're slick. You're like a piece of glass. So you normally want to start off with a light to medium wet tack coat. That's what I always tell it. Light to medium wet tack coat. Let it sit for 25 minutes, and that's it. Then come back, hammer. Hammer wet. You want to spray them wet. Every coat. I tell you, make your first coat like your last coat, baby, and you're going to get the results. You're going to get the look that you want. That you've been seeing, you're going to get that look. Make your last coat, like I say, make your first coat like your last coat, and you're going to find out what the wet is all about, for sure. This your man Tan, all candy. We in the dungeon. The wet demonstration on the MC. On the training day MC, we doing it on the Gator Rally Stripe. All right, now this is what we're gonna do. You know, we've got that wet. What we're about to do now is pour that wet 4-to-1, strictly 4-to-1. And as I tell everybody who calls me, everybody who buys the product, go to the new straight domain name. Go to the domain name, thewetwet.com. Go to thewetwet.com. That would take you directly to the online store. You can always get to the store, by all means, through allcandy, like say, .com with no issue. And what you want to do now is 4 parts clear. We stopped on the 5. All we're going to do now, for those who don't know how to use a measuring cup, we go up to the next 5. There it is. That's 1 part hardening. A lot of other clears, you have to actually add reducer to make them flow out. We've got an exclusive formula, and it's formulated to automatically design. It's designed to flow. It's designed to lay out. It's designed to lay out. You know, stuck to the cup. It's still stuck to the cup. You know, you just heard it fall to the ground, but the clear is still stuck to the cup. This was some old, you know, when I actually shot the Wet Plus, it still stuck to the cup. The cup just broke when it hit the ground. Still stuck to the cup. But we'll just put this aside. As I say, if your clear is not doing that, that's what you need to buy. This is what you need to buy, the Wet. Mix it on up. That's it. Strain it on out. Now, what we're going to end up doing, I'm going to go with I always tell my customers, a light to medium wet tack coat is what we're going to do. A light to medium wet, because we're spraying on glass. When you wet sand 600, there is no red, there is no texture, there is no roughness, and there's nothing for the clear to grip on. You will run, you will sag if you shoot it too wet. No doubt about it. So what you want to do is go with a light to medium tack coat, something to where it looks wet, but it's blotchy in some spots. It's not completely wet, but just enough to where when it sets and it locks up, it'll give what we need for the next coat to really hammer in and go wet. To go wet, to give it that wet look. So that's what we're starting. that's what you'll start to see. Now, I just thought about this. With me, I always like starting in the center and working toward me. I'm a big dude. I'm 6'5". I'm like 320 pounds. I got all this stomach. I'm fat and muscle put together, baby. So I got to look out for the belly. I can't let the belly hit the candy. I always got to look out for it. So I always like starting in the middle and working my way, because then I can back off the car and I can always pay attention, because if I went the opposite way, I won't see when my stomach's about to hit the paint. That's the reason it works best for me. You do what you do what works best for you. And me, I've got my reasons. You see what I'm saying? I got my reasons. Of air pressure. 40 pounds of air pressure. I'm using an iWatt. I got 1/3 tip. 40 pounds of air pressure will atomize it, bust it up, break it up, so when it comes back together, when them clear pellets come back together, it waters out. 40 pounds, 40 pounds, 40 pounds. 1/3 tip, just do 40. If you got 1/4, you can get away with 35. You know what I'm saying? 35 if you got 1/4. But in me, with the wet, 40 pounds, wet plus 50. It's still foggy in here, as you see. I'm behind the camera now. That's one coat. One coat, we just laying down just to give it some traction, just to give it something to do. It's got its light trash. Like I say, I'm in an open area, so I always tend to get trash in the paint, light trash, nothing heavy, just light stuff that I have to. I'm used to wet sanding and buffing. I'm used to wet sanding and buffing, so it's no big thing to me. But for guys who have real nice paint booths, Don't have to worry about trash. They've got downdraft, cross draft, and they've got a better situation. And guess what? You won't have the issues I got. But guess what? I practice so much buffing that I'm real good at it too. So I'm gonna show you how to cut the wet. I'm gonna show you how to give you that glass finish, because it's already gonna give it to you. Like I said, this is our first coat. You want to wait 25 minutes, and we're about to shoot the second coat. I'm only going to do 2 coats right now. I'm only going to do 2. I still have to re-clear the whole entire car, and I'm going to shoot 3 over everything again. So I'm just putting 2 on this, but you can see what 2 look like. This is 1. I laid it on wet. Probably wetter than this is wetter than what I was asking you to do. If you do it, do a light to medium tack coat, especially on your verticals, on your sides, because you got gravity working against you. You can get away with this only because it's laying flat. But you see, no peel. It's laying so smooth, no peel. And if I had a different setup and I wasn't in an open area, no buffing required, because it's going to dry just like this. This is how it's going to look when it finally locks up. This is what it's going to look like, just like this. All right, we're going to check. Feels lightly dry or barely, really tacky where it snaps off the paper. Here, it's feeling a little dry, so we're good. We're ready to hammer now. We're ready to go in wet. I just maintain all candid. We done gave the wet time to set up, to lock up, to dry. It's been about 4 or 5 hours since we shot it. There it is. Look at that finish. I'm telling you, no buffing is required unless you have light trash. If you got a little trash in the paint that laid on top of the clear, guess what? You got some work, which that's what I do all the time. I've always got some work. No big thing though, because that finish right there, there's nothing hitting harder. There isn't anything hitting harder that's got more shine, more gloss. Look at the peel. I should say, look at the lack of orange peel. That's slick. It is dry, as I'm telling you. So, no lighting effects, no lighting tricks. You saw me talking into the spoiler. Now you see me talking into the hood. So it is what it is. You need to buy it. You need to try it. This your man Tien, all candid. 318-918-0331. Go to thewetwet.com. Buy it. Try it. All I ask you to do is try the Wet, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Try the Wet Plus. If you like something with a little bit higher solid content, 2-to-1 mix ratio, go with the Wet Plus. Shoot it at 50 pounds PSI. Shoot the Wet at 40 pounds PSI. It's gonna give you this. Not the trash, but the lack of orange peel. See how smooth it lays down? Let's get this gloss out of it. It lays down. There's no peel in that reflection. That's just straight reflection. There is no peel. It's just a mirror image in that. A mirror image in that. Minus the peel. Minus the peel, I do have light trash. That's what you see right there. It's light trash. But I'm a buffer. I can wet sand. I can cut and buff. And this won't be here when he gets his car. So we don't have to worry about that. You don't have to comment on that. I already know what I'm seeing. What you need to pay attention to is the lack of no orange peel. How smooth it laid down. This is the trunk area. I'm trying to tell you. It's slick. All we've got is minor trash laying on top of the finish. Gloss factor is there. We can see outside all day long. We already know it's wet. This is slippery. This is slippery black. This is slippery black with them apples red over so bright silver. This is the trunk area. As you can see, allcandy.com. I still got to do a portrait back here on the back of his mother. Mother passed away. We've got to do an RIP tribute to her. We're going to airbrush that, put some yellow roses, her favorite color. But, so we've got, like I say, this is just 2 coats. This is only 2 coats of the wet that we've got on it. All I ask you to do is try the product. Try the product. Try the product. Save yourself some money.